Welcome back. What does it mean when a meteorologist says average temperature, and how is that calculated? Well, this week on WeatherWise, Christian Bridges breaks it all down.
I'm meteorologist Christian Bridges, and thank you for joining me for another edition of WeatherWise. Many of us have seen a graphic like this before. I tend to use these graphics frequently on air, and what it is showing is the average high and low temperature for a date. These are the average temperatures on October the 16th, and I recently got an email asking to explain what the average temperature means. And I think it is an interesting and sometimes confusing topic to dive into. Hopefully, this will help you understand what average temperatures mean. Average temperatures are simply the mean temperature, whether it be high or low, over a certain period of time. The official record that we use is called the 30-year climate normal. This is the average high and low temperature calculated over a period of 30 years. The actual average temperature is calculated by adding up all of the highs or lows for the date over those 30 years and dividing by how many years there are, in this case 30. We actually just switched over to using a new running average for this year, the 1991 to 2020 average. For the previous 10 years, we used the 1981 to 2010 average. Every 10 years, the 30 years that the average is calculated from is moved. This is why average temperatures can change slightly over time. A common misconception with average temperatures is that they are what the high or low temperature is expected to be on a certain date. This is not true, as the average temperature takes into account extremes. For example, if one year on October 16th, the high temperature is 90 degrees, but the following year, the high temperature is 70 degrees, the average high temperature for those 2 years would be 80. So while you may expect the high to be right around 80 degrees on that date, you can see that it would most likely be well above or below that. Averages come from the extremes, and it is actually very rare to hit the average high or average low right on the mark. Average temperatures, of course, change with the seasons. In February, the average high is around 60 degrees, and by June, that rises to the low 90s. So when we say a temperature is 10 degrees above or below average, this does not necessarily mean anything extreme is occurring. A departure from the average is actually expected each day. So, how are average temperatures changing with time? This is a map of the difference between the old 1981 to 2010 climate normal and the current 1991 to 2020 climate normal. As you can see, for much of the country, the average temperature has risen over the last 10 years. Here in Mississippi, average yearly temperatures have risen by about 0.25 to 0.5 degrees. And while this may not translate to an impact you can immediately notice, what has happened is that winters have gotten warmer and shorter, and summers have gotten longer. The transition seasons of fall and spring have also generally shortened. This is all expected with climate change as global average temperatures rise. Expect warmer weather to begin earlier in the year and summer weather to persist into the fall more often over the coming years. If you have any questions about the weather that you would like to see answered, please reach out to me and I will be happy to cover it for you. As always, thank you for tuning in to another edition of WeatherWise.
WeatherWise is brought to you by 4 County Electric Power Association.